In the Horn of Africa, Eritrea is quietly planning a transformation that could change the region. Away from the headlines, Eritrea's Asmara 2030 strategy is a series of well-thought-out actions, not a public statement. The goal: to bring Eritrea out of isolation and give it key influence, using its geographic location and political toughness. Eritrea, once known for war and doing things on its own, is now modernizing and getting involved, but in its own way. Asmara 2030 is about being in charge. Eritrea wants to be a main player in the Red Sea's politics, not just a pawn. Let's see how this vision is changing Eritrea's relationships with its neighbors and with global powers, and why it could be the blueprint for a new order in the region. Asmara 2030 is more than a plan. It's Eritrea's bet to define the future of the Horn of Africa. Asmara 2030 isn't found in official papers. It shows up through smart, steady actions. Eritrea's leaders like getting things done more than just talking about them. They're building solar farms, making ports better, and changing how they deal with other countries. This quiet way of doing things gives Eritrea freedom in a tricky region. It helps them change and adapt without anyone seeing them stumble. By keeping their plans a bit of a secret, Eritrea can talk to different powerful countries and avoid being put in a box. The Djibouti solar project and careful talks about ports with Gulf states are clear steps to gain energy independence and make money from their location. Asmara 2030 is a way of thinking that has grown strong over many years of being independent. It puts long-term safety and a strong economy first. You can see the proof in the projects, the partnerships, and Eritrea's military strength. This strategy is being written right now, and its effects are already being felt far beyond Eritrea's borders. Asmara 2030 stands on three main ideas: strategic independence, power in the Red Sea, and choosing who to work with in the area. Strategic independence means Eritrea doesn't rely on just one big country. Instead, it picks partners that help its own goals. Having power in the Red Sea turns Eritrea's 715 miles of coastline into economic and political strength, with ports like Massawa and Assab being its biggest treasures. By building up these ports, Eritrea brings in money and gets an important seat at the regional table. Choosing who to work with shows a change. Eritrea is starting to talk with its neighbors and groups again, but only when their goals match up. This way of doing things lets Eritrea have an impact in the region without getting into unnecessary trouble. Together, these ideas create a strong foundation for a safe, independent, and influential Eritrea. Inner strength, a good location, and smart diplomacy all work together. Asmara 2030 is a full plan for a strong nation for the long haul. Eritrea's Red Sea coast is the engine of Asmara 2030. The ports of Massawa and Assab are becoming modern shipping hubs, making Eritrea a key player in sea trade. Massawa is ready to serve the rural areas of Eritrea and northern Ethiopia, while Assab's closeness to Bab el-Mandeb makes it super important for global politics. Deals with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates show Eritrea wants to work with big global players, turning its ports into places where goods are transferred from one ship to another. Developing these ports is about both safety and money. Offering access brings strong friends and investments. This balance gives Eritrea influence while keeping its independence. Modern ports will boost exports, help farming and fishing, and create jobs. Reliable energy from projects like the Djibouti solar plant powers this growth. Eritrea's sea comeback brings together its location, safety, and growth into one big national plan. Eritrea's military is super important for Asmara 2030. It helps with both protecting the country and making friends with other countries. The Eritrean defense forces are really well trained and work together, which makes the government feel confident about being independent. Having a strong military lets Eritrea act quickly, like we saw in the Tigray conflict. This helps them shape what happens in the area. Working with countries in the Gulf on Red Sea security makes their friendships stronger and shows that Eritrea is a key player in keeping things safe. The military is used for both protecting the country and talking with other countries. Eritrea's strong military and stable country make it a good buffer and a possible helper when there are problems in the region. A strong military helps Eritrea achieve its goals for its economy and its relationships with other countries. Big changes in the economy are a key part of Asmara 2030. Eritrea is slowly opening up to foreign money, focusing on being energy independent and growing important industries. The Dekemher solar plant shows a move towards clean energy, helping them rely less on imported diesel and boosting their industries. Mining is still super important, but they're careful about who they partner with to make sure everyone benefits and the environment is protected. Money from mining helps pay for bigger development projects, creating a balanced economy. Upgraded ports make it easier to export goods, and good security makes investors feel safe. Getting back into diplomatic talks frees up money for big projects. Every economic step helps Eritrea be more independent and have more influence in the region. Eritrea's diplomacy has changed from being alone to being more involved. Making stronger connections with Saudi Arabia and the UAE brings money for building things, especially for ports. Eritrea balances the rivalries in the Gulf, getting the most out of its influence without relying too much on anyone. Joining IGAD again gives Eritrea a say in what happens in the region and helps calm things down. Eritrea manages its relationships with Egypt and Ethiopia, acting as a go-between and helping to keep things stable. This smart way of doing diplomacy builds connections, reopens lines of communication in the region, and makes Eritrea more important. Eritrea's quick and clever diplomacy is key to making Asmara 2030 happen. The country is now an active player that shapes what happens around it. Asmara 2030 is making waves across the Horn of Africa, forcing neighbors and big players to adjust. For Ethiopia, Eritrea's updated ports offer new trade routes and benefits, changing their relationship. In Sudan, Eritrea's stability and neutrality make it a possible buffer and peacemaker. Djibouti is facing competition from Eritrea's ports, which challenges its economic power. Eritrea rejoining regional talks gives it a say in Somalia's stability and efforts against extremism. Gulf powers, especially Saudi Arabia and the UAE, are drawn to compete for Eritrea's ports. Eritrea uses this rivalry to attract investments while staying in control. Gulf states now treat Eritrea as an independent partner, not a client. Asmara's rise is changing regional power dynamics and alliances. Asmara 2030 could be a game-changer for the Horn of Africa. Eritrea's comeback shows that even a small country can earn respect, challenging the idea that it's always controlled by outside powers. Its port strategy and smart talks are making its neighbors change their ways and are shifting who has the power. Eritrea's strong military makes it a key player in keeping the region safe. How well this plan works depends on how they handle their friendships, avoid getting too much debt, and make sure everyone benefits from growth. Keeping the region stable is still tough, but Eritrea's ability to act on its own is clear. Asmara 2030 is saying that the future of the region will be decided just as much in Asmara as in the world's big capitals. Eritrea is moving from being a small player to being in the spotlight, changing the rules for the whole region.